There's been a lot of people making these video games with Claude, whether it be 3.7 or 3.7 thinking. And there's this game I want to make, and I'm actually like working on it on Unreal Engine. But I've been seeing a lot of people creating these cool like web games using Claude. So I'm curious, okay, can we like one shot majority of the game? Can it create these assets and can it do all of this stuff? So I have this game that I'm working on. It's kind of a funny name, but it's called Nazi Island. It's supposed to be like a tower defense game, but first person, third person shooter, and you're on an island and you're trying to kill Nazis. Pretty self-explanatory. So I'm using Cursor, and we're gonna see if we can. I'm literally starting with nothing. I'm curious, can we zero shot it, and how far can it get? I've never done this, so I shouldn't even be able to do this. So we're going to see how far Claude 3.7 thinking can go. So for context of what I want this game to do and what I want this game to be, I want it to be either like a third person or first person shooter. You're defending an island, so that's important. I'm thinking third person with the option of first person. I want it to be like block format, and then I want it to be like where you shoot a Nazi in the head, their head pops off, shoot them in the arm, their arm pops off. We're going to do this through here. I'm just curious how far it's gonna get. It looks like it's still like installing packages. This is the prompt. I wanted to create a web 3D game called Nazi Island where you play a block-like character, which is a soldier, and you need to defend the island from waves of Nazi-looking soldiers. It's a third-person shooter game. I want the game to run in the browser. Use TypeScript, Next.js if applicable, 3JS, and whatever to get the project started. I have an empty project, so we have no assets or even project file started. So I don't even know if we're needing TypeScript or whatnot. It's just something that I threw it at. All right, so it made some changes. I don't know if these changes are exactly what is needing. Oh, wow. Okay, so... Wow. So, okay. It's wow, it's actually not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad. Wow. Okay. Cool. That's actually pretty freaking cool. Few issues. I want the user's position to aim at where the cursor is pointing. The left and right keys. So let's see how well. That's actually pretty good. It's like it actually kind of did it, but we're not. It's obviously not playable. It's nothing like to be super impressed about, but it's kind of cool. We're just gonna keep jamming this code away. Well, we're not, but we're gonna let the AI jam this code away. This could be a cool little game. So we're getting this weird error where it's just like nothing ends up happening. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a new window, and we're gonna try this. I don't even think we're using any of this TypeScript stuff. I think it's all just straight up HTML and JS, no TypeScript. Have two separate, they're completely separate implementations. So like literally we don't need any of this TypeScript stuff. Those sort of my assumptions, like I don't think any of this TypeScript stuff is being used. We're literally just running the index. And it was probably partially my fault. I didn't know what instructions to give, but I said, hey, use these resources. So currently our allied soldier. This is pretty funny. Okay, so am I out of ammo? Okay, so we need... Great. Now that we know we aren't using the type, the character model is facing backwards from where he shoots. All right, we're going to try the thinking model now. Essentially, we don't need the TypeScript stuff. That was just completely unnecessary. And now we're going to fix some of these issues. The game is not bad. It's not fully there. You know, we're just going to develop this out and see how far we can get to making this game that I've always wanted to make. I'm totally cool with the block style art system. All right, so now we're going to refresh. Okay, we got more ammo. Everyone's guns is facing the opposite direction. Orientation is still off. I don't think it really did a whole lot. I'm fine with the shooting ammo animation. So it's refactoring all the code to kind of separate it out in individual files, which is just going to be better. It should be improving the models of both the enemies and the soldier that we play as. It should fix the orientation. Wow, this looks nicer. Loading Nazi Island. So I'm trying to get it to work so it can serve the game, because it seems like it's stuck on a infinite loading screen. Oh wow, there we go. The character is still backwards. So I added a ton of new features, added debug stuff, but I'm excited to show you guys this. It's pretty funny. Obviously we're not done, but we're building this out little by little. You know, I think the model is pretty impressive. It's obviously not perfect. It's not gonna like one shot everything or like get it even remotely near finished like quickly. Here, I'm pretty impressed by what we got. Oh, okay, so how about we disable the turning of screen? So I have to actually make some changes because it's just too dizzy. It makes me dizzy with the current system where you just kind of like the screen's all shaking and everything. It's just too much. Like it literally makes me sick. We'll just let the user do it with WASD. So as we can see, it's making all those changes. So it's not the directions are now messed up again. But we could go here and we could so silly. Let's add some additional settings. Can we make it so when the user does A or D key, it turns? Also limb dismemberment if I shoot someone in the arm. So we made some changes. Let's go ahead and see if these changes came through. So we're still having tons of issues with this where it's just like going backwards and so forth. It's making me dizzy, honestly. We're working on some changes right now where Claude is supposed to be adding collision, fixing ammo pickup because ammo pickup isn't working anymore. Of course, this is the issue when you work with like AIs. Like I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, Claude can definitely code you a shooter game. Like it's going to fix stuff and then create a whole bunch of issues afterward. Like even the aiming is like still not great. Like the aiming should work. Right now there's like a weird FPS issue. I don't know what it's coming from. So we're trying to fix that. And then we're also trying to add. And then also the wave system broke. But as you can see, it's like not bad. So as we fixed the gun, we fixed a lot of the walking stuff. Yeah, so like I think like the gore like screws with the FPS like a ton. I'm hoping we fix this issue with this dismemberment and just this FPS. And we have to hopefully fix the... It's just this lag is... And it doesn't... The ammo pickup doesn't work. Computer is extremely outdated, which is always a factor, but like this is nothing like crazy, but like trying to run OBS while running Cursor or while running this is like seemingly like next to impossible. So insane. So like the enemies aren't like, bro, Cursor, bro, Claude keeps on like changing code and like going back and forth. It'll fix something and literally break 3 other things. And it's just hallucinating. Like, if we're looking, like, it's just making shit up. It's like, there's a level of, like, complexity Claude is able to handle. But then when you start, like clearly, like, a third-person survival FPS shooter is, like, pushing the bound. I don't think of this being that, I don't know, groundbreaking or complicated, but maybe there's not a lot of code for it to work from. Avoiding the thinking model right now, and it could also be maybe we set up a new chat log, because maybe that's gonna be the trick to fixing this. All right, so I just spent probably like an additional, probably another like 3 hours working on this. I took a day or so break, so it's been like 2 days since I worked on this. I made a ton of changes. I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys what the game now looks like. I've not done a single line of code. All the code and everything is being done by Claude 3.7 Sonnet thinking. And I'll show you and I'll explain, I think, how the best way for it to do what you want it to do coding-wise. And I'm going to actually change some of my thoughts on how Claude 3.7 Sonnet thinking is and so forth, because I actually think it's actually pretty good. You just have to go about it a specific way. So let's go ahead and let me get the game started for you guys. So as you get here, we got some music now. And we died. And when we die, our body explodes. Alright, so we completed wave 2. Sorry for the choppy gameplay. I'm gonna probably have to edit it out just because. So when we die, our body explodes, the music plays, then a killed in action screen comes up, and yeah, we could redeploy if we wanted to. Unfortunately, I tried multiple times on this computer to run the game at an optimal frame rate. It's not that smooth. What I'll do is I'll actually record the gameplay on my other computer, bring that footage over here. My other computer has a better graphics card and it's just overall just better. This laptop is like over 6 years old. It's dated and it's just not running things that smoothly, unfortunately. Even this super simple low poly JavaScript game, it just can't record the screen while play. I could play it or I could record. I can't do both. So I'm gonna do that on my other computer and bring it over here. So now that you've seen the gameplay, you can see that we've improved a lot. We have more text animation. We have a dying mechanic. So when you die, like the text comes up. We have bullet tracing, so we see where the enemy's bullets are coming from. It's not perfect. We have better hit detection. Dismemberment is a little janky right now. I haven't really worried about that so much. I've been more so focused on like fixing the hit detection and fixing bullet tracing. and those mechanics because I want to know where the bullets are going, be able to register those, improving the health system, just small quality of life issues. Super basic, but pretty fun. So simple, and it is pretty impressive that Cursor with a mixture of Claude can really achieve this because that's what I'm using. I'm using Cursor and Claude. So now if we get into like the workstation and how I'm actually achieving this, just to show you like all the code. I know we have this index file, but then we have game state, game. There's 2,888. Like it's a pretty big file that it did, and it's not some stuff that's just not being implemented, that it's just added. There's a lot of stuff. It's what AI code does. It's gonna do some stuff. We have an audio system component, and it like did all this like first try. I just had to like give it some like enemy. It's a pretty complex. It's pretty heavy with all the stuff that's going on. For what it is, it's kind of impressive because it makes you realize like how much really goes into like game development when you really start doing it legitimately versus just AI slop. It is impressive where AI slop is at. You got to know, like, as of March 1st, 2025, this is the worst it will be. It's only going to get better. So the fact of the matter that it's already this good is pretty impressive. But what you guys are probably wondering is, how do you prompt in order to get good results? So one of the things I was having issues with was game music. I gave it a prompt, I put the files in a specific area, and it just had an issue getting those files, so then the game wouldn't run. Okay, I tried telling it the issues, so it tries fixing the issues. It only plays one of the songs, it doesn't play both songs. Run it through again, it fixes the song issues, but now somehow the graphics have changed, and now my character moves faster. Why did that happen? So what I just do whenever a weird thing like that just happens is I just go back to restore checkpoint, or I go back to a previous point where it was working, where I liked it, and I just go right here and I just type in a new prompt. And so the music prompt that I got that actually pretty much one-shotted it. And the music is all AI generated too. So, we really went above and beyond with doing this game all AI. My goal is I'll just do this in my free time, just see how far AI can go with developing this game out. I'll probably just grab like sound effects of bullets. In order to one-shot that music prompt, I went back to my original music prompt and I'm like, okay, great. Now I have an audio music I'd like to add. When the players, and I describe when I want this audio to be played. And I told it the audio file. When the user is killed in action, I want it to play KIA MP3. I told it the music folder directory, and I copied the relative path. So you could just go over here in a file and click copy relative path. I pasted the path for both of the files so it knows exactly how to work with it. And I go, you might need to initialize audio or something. Make sure to prevent this issues like cannot access audio system before initialization, because that was an issue that I was getting over and over if I just like try to one-shot the program. So what I found is when you get an issue that tends to happen a lot, copy that issue, then go back to that first prompt. So it's going to revert the changes. Only do this if it's okay for you to revert the changes. I reverted the changes where I was getting all these errors when trying to do the audio. And I took the common issue, which was the accessing audio systems before initialization. And I just said, make sure to avoid this issue. And so when it knows like, it's able to think through, it's like, oh, this could be an issue, and it probably is an issue in the original version of that it typed out. So then it goes back and fixes it. And so this is actually a lot. I normally wouldn't give it this much typically, just because the scope of this was pretty defined with it being music related. I thought it was okay and it should be fine, and it ended up working like perfectly first try, no issues. Maybe it could be like slightly improved, but like it works, like it does what it's supposed to. So if I go back to like, let me go to like previous, we're using agent Claude 3.7 Sonnet thinking. So I'm like, let me just start giving it like no more than 2 to 3 bullet points. So I make it very narrow. Maybe before I was trying to give it too much and I was being too vague. And it kind of just goes on its own accord at that point. If you are too vague and whatnot, if you're pretty precise with what you're trying to do, it does actually a great job. And I've actually found that Sonnet thinking is actually pretty good, because everything that I've been doing yesterday to today, last few hours, has only been with 3.7 Sonnet thinking. So it's actually pretty good. I just had to take a break from it and come back with a new approach. You just do it step by step, like small incremental steps. It's kind of annoying, but when you say, make me a whole game and do this and do that and do this, and it literally just, it will end up in a direction that's way far. It might get kind of close, but then the components and the issues that it's going to present are going to be pretty severe. Here's the fresh. I have a 3JS game in JavaScript and HTML, but I want a better system for enemy shooting. Without changing other elements, can you improve the tracking of enemy shooting? So it's the following. Enemy shots should be instant like a gun. When shot, it should produce a line from the enemy's gun position to its direction. Shots should be towards or at the user. Make the bullet shots disappear after 1.5 seconds. So we're only talking about enemy bullet shots. So it's pretty clear that it knows what to do. So then it starts doing all these changes. Okay, great. That's much better. It actually did it perfectly first try. And so that was like, oh, wow, that actually works. I go, same rules. Please don't change anything that doesn't need to be changed. Please now make the enemies aim a little bit better. It seems like they're aiming towards the sky, higher Y and Z axis, ? In relation to the player's positions, not sure why. Can we fix so their shots are closer to the player? Great. It is getting much better. It's actually really impressive that it's like one-shotting these small issues. Now let's make a few additional small changes. When the player's out of health, show killed in action text animation. Make the enemy's shots less damaging. Now here's where I started getting some issues. Few issues, yeah. My health went to 0 and there's still no killed in action text animation screen. Please improve the health and enemies remaining, etc. So what essentially happened here was, so they actually did the killed in action screen. The issue was that it didn't connect it. It should have understood the context of when I die to do killed in action. And when my health went to 0, which is no health, didn't do that. So we scroll down, it makes some changes, some lines there, some lines there, and it also makes some UI changes as well that I recommended. Great, much better. Now, can we make it when the player is killed in action, their body explodes with blood going everywhere? So I started running issues here. When I was doing the restart component, it just was not working. It wasn't showing up. I tried several different prompts because I wanted it to show the restart after KIA screen. And I think there's an issue with how it detects that and shows that screen. I don't really know. I don't really want to figure out, because the whole job of this little fun project is to have the AI make this game and see how far I can go with it. It wouldn't show that screen. I go getting these logs, so I shared the logs, but I don't see the game over screen after the killed in action. So I'm just describing it like what I'm experiencing, telling why what's not working, whatever. And it's just doing all this stuff and it's just still not working. And I think at this point I created a new, so I go, I'm having some issues with my game. So whenever the logs got long, like these chat logs got kind of long, I just started a new one. That was a new technique that I started doing. I thought it'd be good if the context was larger by working in these chat logs, because I think when you do it, Cursor kind of sends these logs all together. I found that in a lot of ways that actually was like hurting my generations, because it was like relying on solve the issue with like old practices and it just wasn't working. And I found better solutions to like quickly alterate to new chats from a clean slate with that given problem. That was what fixed the bullet tracing for the enemies, and that's kind of what fixed all these other issues. Okay, so right here, after the killed in action screen, I just see the normal game screen with the enemies and such. I don't see any game over interface or screen or such. Maybe keep the killed in action screen animation, and then after the killed in action appears with the little delay, have a button appear saying redeploy, which will restart the game. So now I'm just changing my approach, where now instead of on a killed in action screen, have a delay and then have a button come in for redeploy. And that fixed it. And then as you can see, this is where we get into the music stuff. That's sort of my journey with working with Claude Sonnet 3.7 thinking. It's actually pretty good. And it's actually, no, let me take that back. It's actually really good with coding. Just try to keep your stuff minimal, like your prompts very minimal, and then if you're using Cursor, keep the chats short. I'm wrong with how this works, but I'm speaking from my own personal experience. From the beginning of this video and this little challenge, I was having severe issues where just generations were off. Like, it was just not working well at all. And like, it was making progress, but I was throwing too much at it. I was getting impatient. I kept these chat logs that were super long, and I think it's better when you just tackle on small incremental things rather than trying to one-shot a huge thing. Because the moment I started making these things incremental, it was one-shotting everything. Like, boom, done, boom, done, boom, done. And it was actually very impressive that it was actually knocking it out with a high degree of nuanced understanding without also changing other stuff. As oftentimes the issues that occur when working on this were like, it was changing stuff. There was errors coming along. I kind of recorded this video over the span of a few different days, a little bit different than what I would normally do, but I just wanted to take a break from the first day because I was just so burnt out from looking at my screen and trying to get things to play, and then like the FPS, the gameplay just always crapping out, and just trying to balance it all. And I just ended up getting such a huge headache working on this. Just is such a pain for little to no reason. It's supposed to be fun, so found just a new strategy out of this, and I'm actually quite impressed. And it is for it being a JavaScript game, it is quite a fun game for what it is. It's just some goofy game, and I have some ideas to make it more complex and build this game out without any like real or with minimal human intervention, because it's pretty impressive like how much this technology can do already. I really have not looked at one line of code for this project. Typically, I'm actually kind of hands-on with what I'm doing, but with this, I'm like, I don't even care about learning. The goal is not learning. The goal of this is learning how this system works for this game. Maybe after the fact, I will go through it and see how it does what it does. But right now, that's not my goal. I have other things I'm working on. I'm doing this for fun and just purely for the sake of, can AI do this? Thank you for watching. If you guys want to see the progress of this goofy game, be sure to subscribe. And yeah.